How much better did the Bengals O-line get? Let's go! What is up, Bengals fam? It's your boy Mike coming back at you with another Who Daily. I'm going to jump into some numbers for you guys. You guys, long-term people, regulars on the channel, you guys know I love breaking down some stats. I will say this, though, if this is your first time seeing one of my breakdown videos with PFF numbers, PFF is just a human grading system. There's nothing infallible about it. In fact, there's a lot of nuances to football that even something as in-depth as PFF grades tend to not be able to quantify. So I will say that this doesn't, by any stretch of the imagination, this video is not intended to be like, proof, 100% proof of the O-line, how it's going to perform next year. But according to the numbers, and you guys already know this just based on the players they signed, this team got a lot better just by revamping the offensive line. Even if with losing some of the players that they lost, this team got a lot better. I'm going to show you with some numbers just how much better they got. If you don't know how PFF grades, they actually hire people who sit down and they watch. They get assigned a list of players. They sit down and they watch every single game that player plays every week, every play, and they grade each individual play based on what the play was, what their assignment should have been on that play, and whether or not they were able to execute on it. So it's as close as we've got to something that is a fair grading system and not just going off of the raw stat line, sacks given up and pressures allowed and stuff like this. Now, it's not always, as you guys know, watching a football game, it's not always as simple as just saying, wow, that right tackle fucked up. It's actually way more way more complex than that. It could be it depends on the stunt that the defensive line was running, what the guard's responsibility was. Is there an outside rusher? Is the line was there an audible a protection audible called? All of this stuff goes into play. But high level stuff. Let's take a look at how the Bengals stacked up. The offensive line that they ran out last year consisted of Jonah Williams playing left tackle, Isaiah Prince, for the most part, playing right tackle. There was a little bit of a carousel there, but most of the snaps went to Isaiah Prince. The guard spots, Quentin Spain, obviously, and then the other guard spot was kind of split up between Jackson Carman and Akeem Adeniji, as you guys know. So what I did was I took kind of the average of their scores, which they were both bad. So it's not like it's a huge thing. And then we've got Trey Hopkins playing center, obviously. So these were the grades that they put up last year, individual grades. These are the overall offensive grades. If you look at PFF stats, you get a grade for your overall grade. You get a grade for your pass blocking. You get a grade for your run blocking if you're an offensive lineman. What I'm about to show you is their overall grades for last season. Jonah Williams put up a 74.5. That's really actually good. Just for some comparison, that would put him middle of the 32nd out of 83 tackles in the league. So, not elite, but a very good left tackle. Very much above average to good to very good left tackle. You had at right tackle, Isaiah Prince put up a 47.2, which was god awful, close to the bottom, very bad. Carman and Adeniji scratched together a 48.6 average grade between the two of them. That puts them like in the bottom quarter, of guards in the league. Pretty bad. Trey Hopkins, whether it was injury or he's actually having starting to have a decline, he put together a 51.4 grade, which is again not good. It's toward the bottom of the league in centers, bottom quarter of the league. So that's what they rolled with last year. Quentin Spain, 72.3. Which actually is very good. 72.3, I think, puts Quentin Spain in the top third of guards in the league. So if you followed the channel last year, if you followed it at all, you guys know that my whole, what I keep beating the drum is get the offensive line to league average. Get them, instead of being one of the five worst in the league, to get to kind of sitting in that like 13 to 18 ranking range in the league. If you get to that, Joe Burrow is so good and the skill positions are so good, this team will be almost unstoppable. So what I wanted to do Yeah, that was the line last year. It was bad. So overall, when you average all of the grades out, here's what the offensive line did last year overall as a unit. They put up an overall grade of a 58.8. They put up a pass blocking grade of 51.7, which tracks given that they gave up a billion sacks, and a run blocking grade which wasn't too bad, 66.4. That is what it is. Joe Mixon makes offensive linemen look pretty good sometimes as well with his elite vision and ability to cut back. So a lot of times you can mask some of that stuff. But they really weren't a bad run blocking team last year. They really tried to establish the run and try to make that a part of their identity. However, looking into next year, once you plug in the starters from this year, I'm going to go ahead and go with Jackson Carman as for right now, the guy that's going to start. Basically, what you have this year is you've got Jonah Williams still at left tackle, that 74.5 overall grade. But now at this point, you've got Jackson Carman probably playing left guard with that 50. He put up a 54.2 individually last year as his overall grade, but now at center you have Ted Karras, who put up a 72.9 overall grade last year. Alex Kappa playing right guard put up a 71.9 grade last year, and now Lael Collins, the big fella coming in to play right tackle, put up an 80.2 overall grade last year. That puts him in the top 15 of overall grades. He's a top 5 run blocker, by the way, which we'll get into here in a minute. He's a better run blocker than pass blocker, but that's mainly because of how damn good he is as a run blocker. Expect the Bengals to run at Lael Collins, run to that right side a lot this year. It's going to be a road grader type of right side of that offensive line. But if you look at those numbers, this is what, if you project it out just based on the performances last year, based on those numbers I just told you, the grades of their new offensive linemen, next year their offensive line should put up a grade, if everything's staying the same, an overall grade of 70.1. And if they were to, I went ahead and figured it up. If they were to bring Quentin Spain back, guys, to play that left guard spot, if they bring Quentin Spain back, he's so much better. Quentin Spain put up a so much better PFF grade than Jackson Carman. He put up, his overall grade was 72.3, right? So if you add that in, their overall grade would next year, if say they bring Quentin Spain back, would be more like 74.5, right? But right now it's a 70.1 with Jackson Carman in there. That's a pass blocking grade of 66.7, coming up from a 51.7, and a run blocking grade of 73.3, coming up from a 66.4. So that 66.7 pass blocking grade would have ranked this past year in PFF as a team 18th in the league, versus last year they put up a 51.7 pass blocking grade that ranked them 29th in the league. That's very bad. So all and 18th is right on the cusp of that, like being in the middle, get to league average on these grading systems, and you just let Joe Burrow let Joe Burrow eat. So if they would, if they end up improving this much and get to the 18th best pass blocking team in the league, that puts them just behind the Chargers and the Bears. So look for your boy to have a lot more time and be a lot more comfortable in the pocket. This will also allow them to open up the playbook so that they can run 5-step drop stuff. They can run more play action. It opens the playbook up so much to be able to pass protect this much better, right? So by the way, that's a 29% increase if you're looking at percentages. So a 29% increase in pass blocking effectiveness would be huge for this team, obviously. And then if you take a look at their run blocking grade, last year their run blocking grade of 66.4 put them at about 20th in the league. Not bad, but given how effective Joe Burrow was, you would assume that they would be better than that. I'm sorry, Joe Mixon is judging by how effective of a season Joe Mixon had, over 1,000 yards, you would expect that his line would have ranked higher than 20th in the league. It didn't. But bringing in this new set of offensive linemen with Williams and Karras and Kappa and Collins, all of these guys, now that would move their run blocking grade from a 66.4 to a 73.3, right? And so that's a roughly 10% increase in run blocking efficiency. It moves them from 20th in the league to 14th in the league. So now you're starting to look. This is what we're talking about when we talk about get to average, because you don't need an elite. You don't need the best offensive lines in football in order to be effective. If you take a look at PFF at their pass blocking grades, yeah, the number one pass blocking team in the league last year was LA, but then the number two team was Dallas, and then the Eagles, and then Washington. Not playoff teams, right? It doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to be a playoff team. Dallas had the best run blocking grade in the league, followed by the 49ers, and then the Chiefs, and then the Browns. It's not always a matter of, well, we have to have an elite offensive line. We have to rank in top 5 and everything in order. No, you have the dude. You've got Joe Burrow. You get it to average, which is what they've done. I mean, without them running out there and playing any games, even sticking Jackson Carman out there to play left guard and not bringing back Spain, or a Spain level player, right? Which you could probably find in the draft. You could probably sign. You can definitely sign Quentin Spain back, probably, if you want. They have the money to do it, and I think they might look into that. But even if they don't, the numbers show they got their offensive line to a point where it's no longer a liability. It no longer cuts off parts of their playbook, and it becomes a strength in the run game, because now you have to respect Joe Mixon, breaking one off for a touchdown anytime he runs to the right side, which opens up the play action, and it gives Joe Burrow more time and keeps the linebackers at home. So all of this stuff is a kind of an avalanche. It's kind of a series of dominoes that falls. Whenever you improve the offensive line, you don't have to improve it and make it the best one in the league. If they can take this and get it to, if they can finish 15th or so in the league in blocking, in offensive line grades per PFF, or whatever metric you want to look at, you're talking about a team that can take. They just took the biggest weakness on the team from a roster that went to the Super Bowl and made it into no longer a liability. You're not necessarily going to call it a strength just yet. You got to get them on the field and see how they play together first. But it's no longer a liability. And if that's the case, man, can you imagine if Joe Burrow's offensive line would have played 29% better in pass blocking in the Super Bowl? They would have won. That just straight up. So the future's bright, guys. They're still going to make more moves. Stay right here to figure out what that means for the team. I'll keep you updated with the analysis, with the numbers, and try to put some perspective on it and keep you guys sane. Guys, stay off of Facebook. Those guys are crazy on Facebook. Until next time, guys, I've been Mike. This has been Who Daily. See ya.